anybody's ever worked a sales job, there's three types of prospects. There's people that are never going to buy, there's people that are on the fence, and there's people that are interested and going to buy.
Yeah.
So they're not equal thirds. If your product is good and you're good at what your job, you're good at what you're doing, the people that want to buy from you will get larger as you get better and as your product improves. So as your SMV increases, the pool of people that will be interested in you grows larger. As it's the lower it is, like you're going to have less people that are having genuine desire for you and that are interested. So it's not like 33% of girls are interested, 33% are not, and 33 are fence sitters. You want to focus on that top 33%. Well, that 33% can grow to 50, can grow to 60, can grow to 80, depending on your level of SMV. So it's not always just about, well, I only have a 1 in 3 chance. Like you can widen that pool and increase your chances the better you are doing. So it's always better to level yourself up because your pool just will get larger.
Yeah. And let me just talk about that for a minute, because I had a consult earlier today with a guy that's a high net worth individual, very successful entrepreneur, and he's looking for a wife. And fine, like you want to get married, you want to have kids, cool, but he wants to minimize the risk exposure, right? And like the very first thing that I needed to work on with this guy, he needed to lose weight, like straight up. Very successful, would be a very valuable target for women, especially, like a woman with a personality disorder that could invite serious chaos into his life. And it was like, dude, if you want to expand your options, like if you want to have a better experience and expand your options, you're just going to get there by increasing your SMV. And I said to him, I go, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best version, 1 being the worst, where do you put yourself? High 6, low 7-ish sort of thing. So imagine how much less dirt you're going to have to dig through to find gold if you're a 10 out of 10, if you're the best version of yourself. And that's a great point, Moff, because if you're not there, then you're going to spend way too much time chasing women. Way too much.
Well, there's no guarantees in any relationship you get into, but there is insurance. Okay. And the best insurance you got is your SMV and her genuine desire towards you. If she has genuine desire towards you, that is the best insurance you have. So when you run into difficulties, which are inevitable, she'll be wanting to be with you and to make that work. Very simple. And if she doesn't have that desire for you, if it's not maintained and it turns into a transaction or an exchange, your insurance is over with. It's only a matter of time before the demise of that thing happens. Whether it's you being in it and it's over and you find yourself a slave to somebody else's imperatives, or whether it's her moving on to something else,
Well, I want to bring something up, and Paul, you and I have talked about this in session before.
Before you go with that, Jay, can I just ask you to hold that thought just real quick?
Absolutely.
I got guys waiting in the green room to come on, and I've got one person that's left a comment on what they want to talk about. Turn on your cameras and tell me what it is in the private chat that you want to talk about, what your question is, and then I'm going to sort through them and I'll bring you in if it's appropriate. So go ahead, Jay.
So one of the things Paul and I worked on shortly after my divorce was guys like us are a huge target.
Yeah.
And the only way to distinguish between, who could be kind of potential long-term material and who is not is that difference between validational and transactional sex. And something I've heard Ryan Stone talk about a million times is he said the vast majority of men will never get validational sex.
They don't even understand it.
They don't even
never know what it feels like.
No idea. And so when you start to experience that, you're like, oh, okay, this is what it really looks like.
What it is.
Yeah, that's what it has nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with status, that they just want to be with you. And there's and to give you guys a corollary and to kind of answer that guy's question that you had in session, Rich, you will run into a lot of women that want to have kids. And something Rolo has said is like, there's a lot of women that want to have kids, but do they want to have your kids?
Correct.
Because that's a very different relationship than I just want to be a mommy. No, I want to have your kids is a very different relationship.
It's very different because she's not going to try to hyphenate the kid's name. She's not going to protest and insist that she names the firstborn son. She's okay with taking on his name. She's okay with him naming, the son, right? Like there's a lot of things that kind of intermingle with all that when you're going through the vetting process. And you might think that you found gold, but then, when you start to get into parenting and how that relationship's going to look if you live together and raise kids together, and it's potentially problematic, guys that are spoiled for choice, that are chasing excellence, not women, will let her go to invite a better candidate into his life than to make those concessions and then invite a nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what we got here. We got any? Okay, guys. Yeah, thanks for leaving the private chats there with the questions. You guys want to talk about anything else before I start pulling in some people with questions?
Don't get me started. I'll go all day.
I know you will.
that was back here being polite, man. I don't know.
What about Derek?
I'm trying to be quiet today.
That's a great point Jason made, and I've experienced that like for the first time in the last year. Was the validation is, it's like driving a 4-cylinder compared to a V8.
Yeah,
it blew my mind. It when someone just absolutely wants to shred you to pieces on site.
Yeah, it's a different game completely.
For me, the first time I didn't know what it was. It felt like I was completely sober too. I was like, it felt like a drug. Like I was having like a psychedelic experience or like ecstasy for the first time. You're just like, what is this? There was this other force, and that for me, I think now that's the addiction. That's the rush I chase. Whereas before in the beta days, you're chasing the fantasy.
It's the only thing that's acceptable once you've had it, right? It's like, if you drive a fine automobile, you're not going to go back to your 1982 Chevy Chevette that you drove when you were broke as a joke and at 19 years old, right?
I sold my car and bought a pedal bike. Like I'm not going to buy like a crappy little Nissan or something they drive around here. I'll just go on foot or on a bike.
I got a guy here.
I will tell you this just to
go ahead, Jay.
For the first time I had that happen to me, and you guys are going to laugh your ass off at this. It actually scared me. I was like, what is going on? Like, it was so intense, and it was so like, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I can remember like I felt at one point, I felt like my brain got rewired because I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to be like.
Bingo.
And something Sterling Cooper had said one time is he said, Sterling's an adult film star, right? And he goes, everybody thinks it's really cool, like to do this stuff to get paid to be with women. And he goes, I'm telling you, like the difference between that and validational sex is massive. Like he's like, I would much rather, be with somebody who really wants to be with me, aside from, getting paid to be with women. Yeah.
Yeah.